Welcome, everyone, and we are live today to talk about AI and how to build conversational AI tool with Sachin that I'm going to introduce you in a second. First of all, Sachin, welcome.
Hey Rosanna, how are you
Thanks for
doing?
joining us. All good.
Thanks
How
for
you, how
having
you
me on the
doing?
show. I'm doing
Yeah,
really well. Thanks
happy,
for having me on
happy.
the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us and happy evening. As you already told me, you are 1 hour ahead of us.
Yeah, just
So
one
I
hour ahead of
guess, yeah,
us.
it's almost dinner time, but I guess that can wait because we have to talk about interesting stuff now.
Definitely.
And okay, so first of all, welcome everyone. He's following the live and whoever is going to watch this again. Um, so yeah, today, as I already anticipated, we're going to talk about augmented reality with Sachin, who is a Google developer expert from Qatar, if I remember well.
Yep.
This was supposed to be an in-person event, but it wasn't possible. So here we are, falling back to YouTube. Yeah, so I guess it's going to do all right either way, even if we are not in person. Hopefully, one day we can meet over
Yeah,
there, or
definitely
you
would
come over
love to
here.
meet the community and yeah, feel free to ask questions. Let's try and keep this as
Yes,
interactive as possible. So we are going through the the live chat or the comment section. So feel free to drop in your questions. Myself and Rosano will try our level best to go through those as well. So, the aim for today's session is to actually go and show you guys a blueprint of how you can build your own conversational AI augmented reality experience. So, this has been a topic that's been very close to my heart for a long time, and I'm happy that I got to got this opportunity to bring it to your community.
that's great. Thank you so much. Hello there, Bull21. He's a friend of mine. Welcome. He's Italian, so I'm gonna say it just once in Italian. Benvenuto. And we switch back to English 100%. So I am going to leave the stage to you, Sachin.
Sure.
So yeah, be you know be your yeah, be my guest. If you have to ask questions to me, I will be here in the background listening.
Sure,
So yeah,
definitely.
okay, you're ready. So I'm going to share your screen now, and I will disable my camera, so you'll have the stage all for yourself. Enjoy, everyone, and Sachin with Build Conversational AI Experience, Augmented Reality Experience. Thanks again, and yeah, all yours.
Thanks a lot, Rosano. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to GDG Manchester. In today's topic, we'll be actually learning how to build a conversational AI augmented reality experience. Again, by the end of this session, you will have a clear blueprint of how you can actually build one yourself. So, I hope I give all the tools and the necessary foundations that you guys require to go ahead and build your own augmented reality conversational AI experience. So, without further ado, let's get started. So more than 80% of users have actually interacted with chatbot. So if you think that you haven't interacted with a chatbot already, you'd probably be wrong because in one form or the other, most of the websites are actually using chatbots. Be it, you know, uh, the most common that I've seen is real estate, banking. There's so many other websites that's actually starting to use chatbots to drive conversations. But if you think that you've not interacted with the chatbot, most probably you would have, but you would have not thought that it's an actual chatbot that you've been interacting with. And that's the core essence and true power behind this whole experience. So this is something that I got from Gartner. By 2027, chatbots will become the primary customer service channel for roughly a quarter of the organizations. Believe me, this was at a statistics which was provided a year back, but as you can see, for the last 6 months, a lot has changed in the whole conversational AI space. So this would only increase as we speak, and it's increasing at a very rapid pace. And I'm happy that we get to share some of those things today. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Sachin. I'm the CTO of a company called Tuplo Life, which is a connected healthcare company based out of Dallas, Texas. I'm also a Google for Startup Accelerator mentor, a Google developer expert. I also head, just like Rosano, I head the Google developer groups in Doha, active mentor for a lot of startups within the region. I'm a writer, blogger, and YouTuber. So let's actually start with chatbots, right? So, what are chatbots? And I'll go through these sections quite fast because some of you guys would already have an idea, but I do want to kind of touch the foundation, the core concept, so that you have a clear understanding behind it. So, chatbots are basically a program that can simulate a human conversation through text or voice interaction. So, through any kind of medium, if it's able to mimic a human through conversation, so that's basically what a chatbot is, right? So, why chatbots or virtual agents? By now, you would have interacted with chatbots or virtual assistants like Google Assistant, Siri, Alexa, and so on. And you could see how the landscape have changed over the last few years, right? Before we were interacting with uh, devices through applications, websites, web apps, and so on. Now we've started to interact with machines through voice, through conversations. And this is the actual natural way that humans actually interact. So, why chatbots? The main reason, one, it is easier, faster, it's helpful, it's resourceful, it's engaging, it enhances the overall experience, automation, performance, and lead generation, etc. So if you'd have gone through a support experience recently, you would have seen like it will basically answer all the questions that you've asked, but all of a sudden it might also ask, okay, before I proceed, can I have your name? Can I have your email? So that's the lead generation. So it's automatically gathering all that information for the company that you're interacting with, but you're not actually interacting with the person, you're actually interacting with the AI chatbot. And once the chatbot gathers all the information, it is then available for the company to further process your information. And the other thing is uh, a beautiful example that I can say is, and again, I'm sure 90% of us would have gone through this. If you have ever called a banking support channel, you would understand the frustration. So, first, you go through the whole IVR system, right? So, when you call the bank customer care, what is the typical process? It'll say press one for English, two for different language. Then, once you select the language, you have one for credit cards, two for debit cards, three for loans. So, you have a bunch of information, but all you wanted to know was one specific question, which is, okay, how do I start a savings account, right? So instead of going through all of those different options, and then all you want to do is like get one specific information, it's a nightmare. You have to spend a lot of time to get to the right uh, people or the right space to get that information. But with chatbots or voice bots, all you can do is just ask the question like, "How do I open a savings account?" and it would automatically provide you with that information immediately. So you got the answer, then you can move on. So that is how it's powerful, it's easier, it's faster, and helpful. And why it's important and it's the future. And I'm sure by Sheldon saying it, you all agree with him as well. The main reason being is you can see how the conversational AI landscape has changed for the last 6 months, or it has completely changed, and everyone is into it. And we will actually be tapping that power to build our applications on top of it. And this is going to be the future. You would probably not be interacting with machines like the way how you do right now. It would be more through your voice, right? And who is it for? Well, pretty much everyone, right? So you- individuals, startups, businesses, any customers, consumers, be it any industry, you can actually think of a use case from that aspect. And when to use chatbots and voice bots? Well, whenever you think that you want to save time on customer service and backend operations, when you want to provide information 24/7. So let's assume that we build a chatbot for Rosano, and Rosano needs to get a sleep, but uh, Rosano's chatbot can provide you with all the information behind the scenes 24/7. Lead generation, this is a topic that we already covered, so definitely we can do that. And finally, where to use them, right? So one of the things that we'll see today is a platform or tool provided by Google. This was before we had all of this generative AI, chat GPT, Bard whole concept. But this is still very important for brands who are still trying to build out a controlled conversational experience. And the beauty of a tool like Dialogflow is you can build once and integrate with all of these platforms that we're talking about, right? So where can you use these virtual agents? On your websites, mobile apps, e-commerce, contact centers, your WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Slack, Line, Telegram, so on. So how do we build our own chatbots, voice bots, and virtual agents? Well, let's actually see how can we do that, right? So the first thing is, and again, as I told you guys in the beginning, I do have my own YouTube channel. Most of the topics related to chatbots and how to build everything from scratch is already shown there. So you can definitely go through the step by step tutorials. I do have an ultimate chatbot tutorial series where it covers everything from step by step, even if you have no prior coding experience. So let's actually start with this specific uh, statement, right? It's something that I use in most of my talks because it clearly gives you an idea about how difficult it is to write a code to handle this. So let's think about this. So the person says, "Well, it's kind of cold outside, so I like something to warm me up, like a hot soup, and I want it fast." So when you're having a conversation like this, just try to imagine and write a code for all the developers who've joined us. Try and see how you can write a code to handle the scenario, right? The problem with a statement like this is the guy is actually talking about, he says it's cold outside. It has nothing to do with the chatbot. Let's assume that this chatbot is a recipe chatbot or a food ordering chatbot, right? So it is nothing, the cold outside means nothing in terms of the context. It's basically the user giving a context that, okay, it's cold outside, but I like to like something to warm me up. Again, warm is something of, again, it's a different context altogether, right? And like a hot soup, and I want it fast. So here the keywords are very important. Hot soup, I want it fast, but cold and warm, he's just giving his experience, right? His or her experience. So in that case, to handle such conversations, luckily we have a tool. As it says, I mean, it's hard for humans to understand each other, but it's even harder for machines to understand us, right? And as you've seen, increasingly, machines are getting very intelligent to understand us and try and come up with responses. So, understanding conversations are hard. So, what do we do for that? We have a tool for handling such conversations, which is called Dialogflow. Again, whatever we are trying to do here is you can do with Dialogflow. You can do with any conversational AI thing, because the aim over here is to build a conversational AI augmented reality experience. So behind the scenes, you guys can use any tool that you like, which can handle conversational experiences or conversational AI. So Dialogflow basically comes in two flavors. One is Dialogflow ES or Essentials, and the second one is Dialogflow CX. So typically, what I recommend people to do is start off with Dialogflow ES, and if you're building simple chatbots without too much complexities, you can definitely go with Dialogflow ES. If you're an enterprise, if you're a company who has multiple channels, multiple use cases, and multiple flows of conversations, you can definitely go with Dialogflow CX, which can be used for production for enterprise scale applications. And just so that you know, Dialogflow is actually part of the conversational AI offerings from Google. So this is an important aspect that you guys should understand. And with these two core concepts, you'll have an idea of how to build a chatbot from scratch, right? And this doesn't mean that these core concepts only apply to Dialogflow, but if you're on the conversational AI space, these two core concepts is very important. One is intent matching. What is intent matching? Is when you're having a conversation with your chatbot or your AI agent, when you say, I would like to order a pizza, right? So, based on that conversation given by the user, Dialogflow will basically understand what is the intent of the user. What is that the user is trying to say? So, is there an intent that is created within the AI agent that can handle this? So, intent matching is basically that. And entity extraction is very simple. Let's say the conversation like, I would like to order a large size pizza with pepperonis and extra cheese. Now, within this conversation, you know that the intent could be order a pizza, and then the entities, the keywords that you want to extract. Because if you're running a chatbot, if you're having a chatbot that you're providing it to the users, you want to make sure that you extract these key information to take it to your backend, save it, process it, and then send the response back to the user. So in this case, it could be the extras like extra cheese, pepperonis, and a large size pizza. So those are keywords that you want to extract from the conversations, right? So that's basically entity extractions, identifying keywords or phrases spoken by the user. Okay, so as a challenge, let's actually build a very simple chatbot from scratch. So for us, the level one is going to be to build a very simple chatbot. So let's do that. So I'm going to quickly switch to, you can go to dialogflow.com, which will eventually lead you to cloud.google.com/dialogflow. Okay. And within that, you have two offerings. One is Dialogflow CS, and the other one is Dialogflow
Sorry, Sachin.
ES.
Sorry if I barge in. Could you zoom in a little bit because it's very small?
Oh, sure.
And yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, mate.
Cool. Thank you. So in that case, as I mentioned, we have two of these offerings. Let's go with Dialogflow ES. So when you click on that, you can click on go to Dialogflow ES console. So this is the most easiest way you can get to these platform. So all you'll see over here is if you had prior uh, agents created, you'll have all of those information over here. Right now, we'll come back to this agent that I have created. Again, I'll zoom in. Okay, so I'll come back to this. But let's go ahead and create an actual agent from scratch. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create new agent. We're calling it GDG Manchester. So you can choose the default language. You can also have your chatbot in multiple languages. So that's also a very interesting thing. So what's going to happen right now behind the scenes is when I go ahead and click on create, what it does behind the scenes is actually create a brand new Google project, Google Cloud project. So if you guys have worked with Google Cloud in the past, you can actually go ahead. You would understand what I'm saying, but I will also show you how this is working behind the scenes. So technically, what has happened behind the scenes is we've just created a AI agent or a dialog flow agent called GDG Manchester. So if I go back into settings, you will see that it has been linked to a Google project with a project ID. Okay. So behind the scenes, if you click on this, this would open up a Google Cloud console with this project. Okay. So that's basically it. And again, most of these things have been explained in my channel. If you are just getting started, don't worry too much about that until you're doing something more complex, right? So from from a dialog flow standpoint, you have gone ahead, you've created this. I'm just going to go ahead and go directly to intents. So remember the concepts that we were talking about, intents and entities. I'll just zoom in so that you guys can see clearly. So by default, without doing anything, I'm just going to say hi. And what you can see immediately is greetings, how can I assist? Right? So you must be wondering where is this coming from? We already have some basics of the chatbot up and running. So you can see on the right is a simulator which can actually help you see test the conversations directly. So when you say hi, which is what the user says, it has immediately identified the response is greetings, how can I assist? I'll come to how to find that. But you can also see over here the intent is default welcome intent. So by default, Dialogflow will automatically create these two intents for you. One is the default welcome intent and the default fallback intent. So if you go ahead and click on the welcome intent, you will see that name is default welcome intent. So this is the name of the intent, which is what we are seeing here. And if you come down under the training phrases, and this is where all the magic actually happens. So unlike um, building traditional applications where you have to write a lot of if and else and other logic based uh, techniques, here for conversational AI, we actually feed the AI with samples of what the conversations would look like. So here for the default welcome intent, you see few statements already in here, which is trained. And the machine learning, whenever it detects any of these greetings kind of messages, it will automatically identify that this is the intent that it belongs to. So I'm sure what you might be thinking is it always going to be the same set of greetings? No. So it's smart enough. So all you have to feed is a little set of training phases. And then even if the conversation is something which is not part of this, as long as it is closer to what you're having, it will automatically identify the intent. And once it has identified your training phrase, it knows that's default welcome intent. Then what it does is it will automatically go down and get the response. So the response over here is, hey, hi, how are you doing? Hello, how can I help you? And so on. So this is what you're seeing over here. Greetings, how can I assist? So every time you're saying, let's say something like howdy, you can see it's a different response each time. So it will randomly pick a response from here and then display it back to the user. Okay. So typically, as a good conversational design guideline, I always say make sure that your conversations are leading to a specific action or it's close ended. Don't keep the conversation open ended, because if you just say, "Hi, how are you?" Of course, the user will say, "I'm doing well." Then the conversations can go in very different directions. So, to control the conversations, it's always important that the kind of responses that you give back to the user is always leading to the next set of actions that you're expecting the user to do. So, typically, let's say I can go ahead and um, remove all of this. I can say, "Hi, welcome to GDG Manchester." I can give you I can help you with topics related to Google or Google Cloud. Okay. So that's based. So by doing this, you know that this chatbot is actually intended to speak only about these specific topics. So that's the aim behind this. Okay. So let's go ahead and save this. So now if you're going to say hi, you can see that response, right? Now, the next thing that you can do is you can go ahead and create more intents that can handle things. But in certain cases, again, the for the purpose of time, I'm not gonna go and create a full chatbot. But for users who would be wondering, can I use my existing contents from my website uh, or documents to actually build a chatbot quickly? You also you also have that option. So let me actually show you an example of that. So Dialogflow has a wonderful feature called knowledge base connectors. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go click on the settings. And since this is a beta feature, I'm going to enable this option over here. Hit save, come back. So the idea behind knowledge bases is you can actually create a chatbot based on the conversations, based on the content that you have in your sites like FAQ documents or CSV and so on. So just as an example, will try something very quick. And Rosano, feel free to let me know if by any chance you have any websites that you're aware of who has a frequently asked question properly structured, then we can even use that. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new one.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, you can just do research about it behind the scenes. But for the purpose of time, I'm just going to do something like, let's say, FAQ. Let's call it Cloud FAQ. So you see these options over here. So we are going to just use FAQ. Since we are going to extract these information from a website, we can say text or HTML. And then what we are going to do next is you have different sources. You can either put all of those data in a cloud storage. Since we are using HTML, you're going to pull this information from somewhere. So let's go ahead and try Google Cloud FAQ. Let's search for that. Okay, so there is a FAQ on cloud storage. So this page basically is all the questions about Google Cloud Storage, right? So we're just gonna copy the URL, come here, paste it, and you can also enable automatic reload. So what this means is, let's say instead of you coming back to the Dialogflow and uh, adding more and more contents, as you're updating the contents on your website, it will automatically pull that information up as well. So let's go ahead, do an automatic reload and create. So this would take a couple of seconds. So while we have this going, if you guys have any questions, feel free to uh, let me know in the chat section. So what's happening behind the scenes is Dialogflow is configuring this as a source to extract all the information. And one of the things that I want to make sure that you guys understand is whichever the website that you're linking over here, if it is an FAQ website, you want to make sure that that website follows the FAQ schema markup. So if you go to like schema.org, you can actually see there are different schemas. So as long as the website follows a proper frequently asked questions schema, Dialogflow should be able to extract these information. Okay, so like similar to this, right? So that's something that to keep in mind. So let's go back to Dialogflow. So you can see now the document is added. So we've added a source, right? So we've linked a Dialogflow knowledge base document. Now, as a response, all you need to do is click on add response and leave this as the default. Okay. So again, you always have the option to go and play around these responses. But the main idea is from whatever Dialogflow knowledge base can detect, the first answer, it's basically gonna be based on that. So these are just the variables holding the value. So let's go ahead and save this. And after you do that, you'll always notice that every time you make any changes to intents or do any activities, you'll find a statement like training started, training ended, training completed. So that's the way the machine learning model is being trained behind the scenes. Now with this, let's go ahead. You can actually try it out over here, but I want to quickly move to the next set of things, which is the cool thing, is how you can integrate things, right? So if I go to integrations, you have a web demo, so you can directly go click on it. All you have to do is click enable. If you have your website, copy this iframe into your website, and you have a chatbot up and running. So how will it look like? You can click on this link to show you what it would look like. So it will look like here on the right. So I can say hi, so which should give us our greetings, right? So hi, welcome to GDG Manchester. I can help you with topics related to Google or Google Cloud. Now let's go back over here and let's see what are some of the questions. So do I need to enable billing? So, or let's try this out. And immediately you can see that even though it was not the exact sentence that I gave, it was smart enough to identify that that was what I was asking, and it would automatically give the response back. So just like that, with few clicks, few configurations, you are able to create a conversational experience, right? And let's try one more, and let's challenge it a bit more. So where's my data stored? Okay, let's try this. And maybe for the next one, what I can do is I can also show you another option, which is Dialogflow Messenger. So the way how you can do that is click on this, enable this, and this will give you a much more rich experience. So you can add the same script onto your website, or you can also see how it will look like. So over here, you can see that if you integrate this, automatically you'll find this pop up on your website, and then the user can continue the conversation, right? So I can say, So you see that even though that was not the exact sentence question, it was still able to pull the information from the FAQ document. Okay, so this is pretty cool. You have a fully functioning chatbot which can do very basic things. And to add even more little character, you can also go ahead and add pre-built agents. So if you're building an agent, you can explore pre-built agents. But I'm just gonna go ahead and add a small talk. So small talk is again, if you want to enable things like have a quick chat with the chatbot outside of what it should do, it can do that. And you also have control over all of that. So once you do that, you also have this option to go back to integrations. Now let's try out the Dialogflow Messenger once again. And let's try out another question. So just for the purpose of time, I'm just going to copy this. Just trigger response. Okay, so we got the response back. I'm going to say, thank you so much. And now you can see that it's able to handle small talks, right? Small conversations, just like a friend. You can also, you can see, I'm glad you think so. So wonderful. So now you guys know how to build a chatbot or a conversational AI experience. Again, this is not limited to just Dialogflow. You guys can build anything that you feel is of works for your use case. But Dialogflow is also an excellent tool to go about with integrating into multiple platforms. Now, to take it a step further, you can actually also use Dialogflow Phone Gateway, which will give you a US number, which you can make a call and actually speak to this chatbot right away. Okay, so you also have that option. And all of this, again, as I've said, I've covered it in my tutorials, so you can definitely have a look at that. Now, coming back, so let's go back. So I believe now you guys have had an experience of building a simple chatbot. Yes, that's what we did. So we looked at integrations, pre-built agents, and knowledge base. So this is what level 2 would basically be look like. So next level chatbots and voice bots. So when we are leveling up, what we are going to do over here is how can we take it to the next level? So that's when you go through with digital humans and 3D virtual agents. So now that you've had a chatbot, you know how it works, you can talk to it, but now you need to add some face and character to it. So you have tools that's available that can integrate with Dialogflow, offered by other companies. And this is, again, I'm going to play a small clip from one of the tutorials. So here, what you can see is, I don't know, Rosanna, are you able to hear the audio come through? Is the audio coming through?
I think so. Click play. No, it's not.
Okay.
I thought I heard something.
Okay. So
We're
let
good.
me do one thing. Let me stop sharing the screen and add this back. Make sure that share the audio just to show this demo, and then we can switch back.
Absolutely. So there aren't questions in the chat for now, and yeah. So
So you can add the screen back, Rosanna,
yes, absolutely.
and hopefully, right now you should hear the audio as well. So as you can see,
Yes.
we have successfully integrated a chatbot to a digital human, right? So Here is a much more immersive experience. You feel like you're actually talking to a human, or at least close
So
to what. So what we've done so in this is like whatever the agents that we built in chatbot using Dialogflow. Now we are integrating it with 3D virtual avatars. So you can add emotions. You can also have handle different kind of things within these characters, which will have a much more immersive experience, right? So here I'm actually going to show a demo. Chat. I would like to set up an appointment.
At what time?
6 p.m.
When do you need this?
tomorrow.
What kind of services are you looking for?
I would like to have the dental service.
Okay, let me see if we can fit you in. December 31st, 6 p.m. is fine.
So, as you can see, rather than going and typing in all the information, just by having a conversation with a virtual agent, I was able to set up an appointment, right? So, you can see how powerful these things are and how you can integrate. But again, some of these tools that uh, we are talking about are provided by other companies. There are a lot of companies who have integrated with Dialogflow, so you have that option as well.
Sachin,
Um,
how did you implement the facial, movements and the mouth and all that? Because it's a little bit freaky, to be honest. Freaks me out a little bit, but it's cool.
yeah. So let me actually explain that as well. Is the audio clear? Is it fine for you, Rosano?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, you can go on.
Okay. So the way that specific integration was done was using a tool called Unique. So they offer a service for integrating it. So they have already done the integration with Dialogflow. So all we need to do is like do that integration part, and then you can use it. But again, when it's been provided by an external company, you always have a service fee associated with it. But what I wanted to actually show you guys next is, now that we have all of these experiences, how can we actually go a step further? And to answer Rosanna's question, I'll show you some of the techniques that I've used. Again, if you work as a team, you can build much more better things. But the aim for today's talk is to give you guys a blueprint of how you can build something on your own, right? So I always had this feeling that, okay, what if we combine this experience with augmented reality? So people ask me like what the future would look like. I always say like we might not, we might be interacting with voice. We might not be probably having a mobile phone kind of experience in the coming years. We'll move away from that. We might probably wear something and talk to machines and get the information then and there. So based around context and other information around us. So if that's the aim, augmented reality is a very important aspect of it. So what we can do next is, and this is what that blueprint that I'm talking about is, you can build a chatbot in Dialogflow or any conversational AI, you can build it. Then we will combine that with Unity. So you have Unity or Unreal Engine. These are game engines that's used to build games. Uh, you can actually build 3D environments and 2D environments in that. So it's a pretty cool uh, platform where you can actually build immersive experiences. And then we can combine it with AR, VR, or mixed reality experiences. Now, if you're talking about digital humans, you need to also handle lip sync and emotions and so on. So if you are like a 3D artist who's building characters on Blender and so on, wonderful. You guys can have much more a controlled experience of how you want your character to behave. But if you're like me, who has very little experience with building 3D models and so on, you have other techniques to actually do that as well. So, and finally, the most important thing is when you're having the conversation, you need to also show the sentiment back to the user. So, with tools like Dialogflow, and I'm not sure whether you guys noticed, if you come back over here and if I say hello, Dialogflow has a built-in sentiment analysis response. So it has a score. So 0.2 means it's more on the neutral to positive range. If it goes below 0 to -1, it's negative, 0 to +1 being the most positive. So using the sentiment score through the API, you can actually handle different expressions and characters as well. Now, going back to our conversation. So how do we build one? So we'll get to that part of how we. So we learned how to build a chatbot from scratch. We've seen some examples. Now I want you guys to have a very basic idea about AR, augmented reality. So I'm sure many of you have already tried out. If not, do try it out. It's pretty cool. So basically, what is AR? AR is an interactive experience of real world environments where the objects that reside on the real world are enhanced by computer generated perceptual information. So it can come in any modalities like visual, auditory, haptic, etc. So mixed reality is again merging of real and virtual worlds to produce new environments and visualizations. So you can basically like have your room and you can have all of this information displayed around your room or on the wall, and they can kind of blend in and coexist in real time. AR Core is Google's platform for building augmented reality experiences. So ARKit is for iOS, AR Core is Google's platform for AR experiences. So behind the scenes, just understand these core concepts. As you get to build these on your own, you'll once you get the basic idea, you'll start to build even further. But the core concepts is motion tracking, which allows the phone to understand and track its position relative to the world, environment understanding, and light estimation. Okay, so how does motion tracking look like? It looks something like this. So with the advancements in the cameras that we have and the other sensors, our phone actually understands the location, or it can track its position relative to the world. Environmental understanding allows the phone to detect the size and location of all types of surfaces, like horizontal, vertical, and angled surfaces like a ground, a coffee table, or a wall. So if you're scanning a specific object, it will basically identify where the edges are, how much the size is, all of those, and which are all very important for us. Now, let's actually go through a demo. Okay, and I want to actually go through this in two different forms. Before I actually show you the demo of the augmented reality experience, I want to actually show you how you can actually do this with uh, a 3D experience. Okay, so this is Unity, and what I have here, as you can see, I've just created a very simple environment. Okay, you can uh, add any kind of objects into this. Each one is a game object. So you have a main camera. So think about you're like shooting a movie. So you have cameras, you need lights, all of those, right? So all of those are configured over here. So you can see there are directional lights. You can move, you can move it away, keep it back. So all of those can be handled. And depending on that, your environment also changes. Okay. You can also like choose the color, the intensity, all of those things. So most of the things, and you have the main camera, which is now pointing to this 3D model. Okay. So one of the things that I was exploring while building this experience is how do we actually bring a 3D model, and how do we, so we have Dialogflow, which is great. So Dialogflow offers APIs behind the scenes which you can call and get the response back from Dialogflow. So if you're building your own chat interface, you don't want to use uh, Dialogflow Messenger, pop-up, or any of its tools, but you're building something on your own. You have your own interface, or you're building a game and you want to interact with it. So you can actually use behind the scenes, you can call Dialogflow APIs. So you give the input, call the Dialogflow API, and the Dialogflow API will send you back with the response. So this application is, again, I searched online. I found few samples where people have tried to uh, uh, connect with Dialogflow. I took that, I modified it a lot, and then I was looking for how can we actually have the lip sync. So one of the libraries that I found is uh, Meta's Oculus lip sync plugin, which you can see over here. So it's Oculus lip sync plugin. It comes with this 3D model and other models, but the main reason behind using this is it uses something called as Vizims. So what are Vizims? Let me actually give you an example so that you guys have an idea. So Vizims are like this. So it's a representation of the position of your face and mouth when saying a word. Okay, so have a look at this animated example. So depending on each word that you say, your mouth, the structure of your mouth has a specific structure. So it's actually using these regimes behind the scenes to make sure that, to give that kind of an indicator that as it's moving its, or the 3D character is moving its mouth, it will give you that experience. So you can see over here for each cuisine, like put, bat, mat, the structure of the mouth looks something similar to this, right? So fat, wat, you can actually see the different structures. So that's how the whole Vizim concept works. So this Oculus lip sync plugin basically handles that. So I bought that into the Unity project. I configured Dialogflow, so you can see all the information then handled. So behind the scenes, what I'm doing is I'm calling the Dialogflow API. I have a Google Cloud service account created. I'm sharing the file, the key, to make sure that the security and the permissions are provided to, for this application to access the cloud project. And by doing that, we will have access to the Dialogflow APIs. Now, the next thing that you can see is, let's actually give this a shot. We'll do a demo right now. So you can see the camera, the way how we place the camera is exactly how we are seeing when you click the play button. So this is the game view that we are seeing. So this is typically how you will see once you're interacting with the actual application. So this can be in the form of a desktop application, mobile application, web, and so on. So that's the beauty of Unity. You can build once and you can deploy it across different operating systems or platforms. So I'm just going to say, hi.
Hello.
Okay. So start looking at the way how the lip sync works. What is your purpose?
I'm designed to help developers learn how to escalate conversations from an agent to a real human operator. What else can I do for you?
So you can now see that all of this response is all coming from Dialogflow, not the one that we just built, but this is coming from another agent that I have created as part of the tutorial series. Now, behind the scenes in the console, you can see that I'm also capturing what is sent as a request and response, right? So you can see that JSON default session, uh, all of this is actually sending the audio input that we are providing. It is sending it to Dialogflow, and then it is coming back with the response, right? So here you can see the query result is what is your purpose, and then the fulfillment text, the Dialogflow, that is basically the response. I'm designed to help developers learn how to escalate. So all the information is over here in the form of a JSON. So all we are doing is calling the API, getting the data back, and then stitching it together, right? So you can actually use multiple techniques. So for example, this is based on like a 3D model. You can also use like texture based. So you have multiple options over here. So if I do this, let me hide this and show you this. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure to help.
So you can also use other characters like this. So this is texture based. So it has its own regime kind of a layout, but you can actually see how the conversation works. Then I said, okay, what's the next thing that I can do? Now, there are 3D models that you can load from, from the internet, or you can buy 3D models, or you can build your own. But what's the easiest way you can build a character? Then I came across a platform called Realme. Okay, so let me actually show you that. So it's called I think Real Player Me. Player, or sorry, it's called Ready Player Me. Okay, so Ready Player Me is a platform where you can actually build your own 3D models quickly, right? All it takes is you upload your selfie, and then it will customize your character avatar and export your avatar. So you can actually do this, export your 3D model quickly, and then you can bring it into the platform by something like this. Okay, so this is like another character. And as you can see, as I'm talking, it will also have the conversation, right? You're so cool.
Thanks, I try.
And the reason why it is having uh, a female voice is depending on the API. So you can also go ahead and change all of that. So each of these scripts that you're looking at has so let me open up some scripts to actually show you what's happening behind the scenes. So this is how all the code and other things are done behind the scenes. So again, we'll go ahead and I will actually share some of these once it is completed and ironed out. So you guys also have access to this. So this is where you'll go ahead and add all of your configurations. You'll also choose like what kind of voice that you want. So here you can see the voice that I've chosen is ENUS WaveNet F. And if you're wondering where this is coming from, this would typically come in from within your dialog flow. If you go to settings, you also have a feature, I believe, under speech or advanced. Yeah, under speech, you can actually see the different voice configurations that you can add. Okay, so not here, under voice, over here. So the one that I'm using is the ENUS Wave, WaveNet F. If I change this to something else, the voice will also change. So depending on your character, you can make modifications. You can also increase the speech rate, pitch, volume, and so on. So to from there, what I did is, okay, I was able to import a character uh, easily by taking a selfie and then bringing that character in. And the next thing what I did is, you can actually follow Unity's AR Foundation. So AR Foundation is a tool that is a platform or framework which basically combines both AR Kit and AR Core. So if you build using Unity's AR Foundation, you can pretty much uh, deploy that both for your Android and iOS. Okay, so using that and combining all of this that we've just seen, I did go ahead and build a conversational experience, uh, AR experience. And if everything works well, let me share my phone over here. And you guys should be able to see my phone.
Hi, my name is Sack, your virtual agent here to help you. I am designed to demonstrate operator requests. You can ask me about my purpose, or ask to speak with a person. If I fail to understand your statement twice in a row, I'll connect you with a person automatically. How can I help you?
What is your purpose?
I'm a very simple agent designed to help developers learn how to escalate conversations from an agent to a real human operator. What else can I help you with?
So, as you can see, by combining all of these things together, okay, so we were able to plug in Unity. We were able to use Unity to build a 3D model. We had external tools like Ready Player Me to basically build a 3D model quickly. And then you can use plugins like the lip sync plugins. I'm sure there are other plugins out there. Use those plugins to uh, link it to your 3D character, and then you can call an external API that you can have for your conversational AI. So this could be anything. In this case, I'm showing you how to call the Dialogflow uh, API and get the response back. So with that, we kind of created a complete conversational AI augmented reality experience. Now, you can actually take it a bit further depending on the sentiment analysis, depending on the sentiment of the statement. You can add emotions to your character. Right now, you can see that the character that I have is continuously on a loop animation, but depending on different things, you can do that. You can also add more elements into your conversational experience. So imagine that you have a game, you you can scan the 3D, I mean your environment, and you're playing a game. So you and your friend can basically have a conversation and have the game experience right on your physical world, right on your coffee table, for example. And there's much more you can do. I can probably say, change my t-shirt color from gray to black, and you can instantly change, because now that you have the conversations working, you have the APIs giving you that, you know what actions you can do. So I hope all of these to some extent gives you guys some idea about how you can actually build your own conversational AI augmented reality experience. And I'm sure a part of this will surely be flowing into how our future might look like. And with that, I thank you all for joining once again. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Uh, I will let my Twitter handle as well. And if you guys loved the content, if you like to learn all of how to do all of this from scratch, definitely subscribe to youtube.com/tech with such for more contents. And Rosano, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be on the show, and I hope the community actually, um, you know, comes up with more cool stuff based on the contents that we have today.
We definitely have to do a follow up talk about these things, because especially this last thing you showed, it was very interesting. And yeah, personally, I want to see more about all these things, because it freaks me out a little bit, like I told you before. But it's, yeah, it's very interesting, and yeah, very 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 good. Thanks, Sachin,
So think
for.
about how you can uh, link something like this with like Palm APIs and the large language models and so on, and you can pretty much build amazing experiences.
It's
Right.
great.
So some of the techniques that I've used in this is to basically have a real time experience, because that's important. You can actually use machine learning models and other AI models to have a much more real user kind of experience. But all of those things, it takes time for the model to build and send the response back. So overall, you don't want the response to be like, for each response you have to wait for like 5 6 seconds. So that's why you would have seen certain examples where you'll see AI models talking, but you give the script, it will convert that. It takes time to convert it into video and then come back. So
Yeah,
these, as the technology improves, especially if you are looking at something like how what Unreal Engine and Unity as well, with something like MetaHumans, you can actually link all of these with things like these, right? So MetaHuman is again provided by Unreal Engine, and Unity is also probably going to come up with something similar to this. So you can actually build facial expressions, uh, more realistic 3D models, and then kind of use the techniques that we built over here. So to give a much more immersive experience.
this
Of
is
course,
great.
as the computation and other things increase, uh, we'll have a much more better experience in the future. So this is just like
Yeah,
scratching the surface.
yeah, makes sense. I mean, I can't wait to see where we're going with these things. Say, I don't know, in 10 years from now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be great, and cool stuff coming.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
okay, then I don't see any question in the chat. So I say I don't want to keep you here any longer. Sachin, thank you so much for your availability, and
Thanks,
for the
Rosano.
great content you brought to the table today. This video will be available on YouTube anytime you want to share it, or I don't know, you want to watch it again. I don't know if you want to watch yourself again, but yeah, if you want, you'll have the link soon. And yeah,
Yeah.
thanks everyone for watching. I
Thanks everyone
say
for tuning in, and have a
this is
great
it.
day. And I hope you guys enjoy Google I/O, which is
Oh yeah,
actually
it's
happening
Google
right
I/O
now.
on. Yeah, I guess that's where we're going now. We're going to
Yeah,
tune in and watch what's left of it.
yeah.
Hopefully it's still on. And yeah, cool. Thank you, Sachin. Thank you everybody for
Thanks,
watching. And
Rosano.
yeah, see
Thanks.
you next time.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.